Hey everybody, it's Andy here at Game Montolio, and we are back for another Vintage League. We're playing CradleVine, and we're ramping up for Eternal Weekend North America, and this is a front runner for a deck that I am likely to play, and I won't go through an exhaustive deck tech here. If you look back a couple videos ago, I have a 10-minute intro on the deck that really goes through it in detail, but at its core, it is a Bizarre Vine deck, so we're trying to discard Root Wallas and Benjamines and cast Hollow Ones for free to take over the game in an aggro approach. The nice thing about this deck is it is non-reliant on Bazaar, unlike most of the other Bazaar decks that exist, and I would say it is by far the most reliable at casting its spells. It very reliably casts Collect a Roof on turn 2 after you've done your business. It can cast Hex Drinkers and pump them up very quickly with all the different cradles in the deck, and it's a very robust deck, and one of the neat features about this deck, it is not reliant on its graveyard, unlike all the other Bizarre strategies. We don't have Hogaaks, we don't have Bloodghasts, we don't have Squeeze in our deck. We really just have 4 Benjamines, and what happens in your opponent's sideboard, or keep Wasteland hands against your Bizarre, and once you've used it, it's you don't typically need to use it again because of the high quality of your cards in your hand. You're wanting to cast them, not to discard them. And funny thing is, you can cast Benjamines out of this deck just so reliably because of all the cradles I mentioned. So this is the idea behind the deck. Of note, there are 3 Besagers in the main, which is an innovation that No Props came up with, and I really think they were on to something. We have the 4th in the board, and Besager just really hits everything in the metagame. Obviously, it's good against shops, it's good against Bolas's Citadel, it can stop a breach, it can stop an oath, it hits a lot of quality targets. Of course, the main one I didn't mention is Sinks of the Steel Wind. We find it very reliably and cast it very reliably out of this deck. But with that, guys, I don't want to deliberate too much more here. Let's get into round 1 and see how we do today. Please hit that like and subscribe button, and feel free to leave any comments. Okay, here we are in round 1. We've bumped into our buddy Wizard, and Wizard is typically a dredge player. I don't normally see them in queues. I see them in challenges more often than not, but they may be ramping up for champs as well. So I'm putting them on dredge, but I know they also like to play bug from time to time. So let's see how we do. All right, we won the die roll. Let's see what we're doing here. That one's not good enough. Don't really like this hand either. If it's dredge, this is not going to be good enough against dredge. If it's dredge, we're probably going to lose anyways, but game 1. We got a Beseiju that we can set up on turn 2 potentially. Well, that actually doesn't work, because I'd have to play the Beseiju to cast the Root. Well, this is just a mulligan. We can just do better than this. They've begun with 7. We're going to go down to 5 here. We can just do better. Yep, and this is one I like. I think we'll put this away. I don't think it's likely to be overly impactful against what my opponent's doing. If it's bug, I really like the Hex Drinker, but I think we can find that at a later time. We did win the die roll, so this is good for us. Like, this is a 5-card hand that can win, and these Vine decks certainly are powerful in that regard. I think I'm going to keep the Wasteland here. If my opponent is on dredge, it may be just enough for us to keep them off balance long enough to get a win. And this is the type of hand that can do it. It's very strong. Opponent is conceded. Now, if that was dredge, would they have conceded? Yes, they would have, unless they found a hollow one. I honestly don't know how aggressive we should be on going in on dredge here. I don't think we should. Like, would my opponent have conceded there? I was hitting them for 8 no matter what. And then the next turn, I'm hitting them for 12, which is more than lethal. 13 damage coming through next turn. If they found a hollow one, though, why wouldn't... I guess they're valuing not showing that information. I am going to... Because I know my opponent here, I think that there is a much higher prevalence that they're on dredge. And I think it's probably okay to address that. Like, Collector Roofs and Force of Vigors are not overly impactful cards in general. I'm going to keep the Hex Drinkers if I can. I think I can cut a red Root Walla. If it's Dredge, I don't need the Moxes as much. But if it's Bug, I like the Moxes. Maybe I can cut a Once Upon a Time. And maybe I can just cut a hedge with a Ravenous Trap here. Actually, I'm going to hedge with a Cage. It's hard to know what's correct here. Like, if they are not on dredge, we didn't bring in the Surgicals either. Nice looking hand here if I can get these vines going turn 1. Mono white, so they are definitely not dredge. This is very likely a Containment Priest, is my guess here. But we're going to do what we can. I don't think this Wasteland's looking overly impactful here. Here go. Wasteland, okay. Seems reason. Oh, they're casting something. Archon. Yep. The Archon is going to cause me some problems here. So I'm going to have to hope I can ambush it. My cards in my hand are not great. Now, they have to be suspicious of Endurance because I'm not doing anything outside of playing the Lotus, but playing the Lotus here is not unreasonable. Now, if they Force a Vigor me here or something, that would be bad, but I'm very doubtful they would have it, unless this is truly Bant, and Bant is not really a deck that can support basic planes. So I think the key for me is can we actually ambush this Archon? Yep. All right. See how consistently we're casting our spells here? And the nice thing is we're able to press some damage here. All right. We got there. The Endurance was a pretty good hedge against what my opponent was doing, and of course it just happened to line up really nicely against Archon there. Unfortunately, my opponent did have a second one, but the Endurance outweighs the power of the Archon here fairly easily, and we were dealing 7 damage there. Like, it would have been interesting to see how this one shot down if my opponent had some removal. Oh, there was the Hex Drinker. Okay, Hex Drinker was going to be vicious. I was basically going to untap in this situation here, and You know, we would have had a Cradle going, got it out of range of removal, and eventually would have got there. So, yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and we're going to see you next time. Hey, everybody, it's Andy here, a.k.a. Montolio, and we're back for round 2 of our Vintage League. We're playing CradleVine. Last time I ran into this opponent, they were playing Grixis Wheels, like Shieldred and Wheel of Fortune, Time Twister, that sort of thing. Now, we did win the die roll. This hand is not good, though. We're going to have to send this one back. I think we can do better than this one as well. The Collector Roof is tempting here, but I think we can do better. Okay. Not a whole lot better, but it's better. Definitely going to keep this. I think probably we can ditch one of the Wastelands here. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, a little bit awkward, eh? I mean, we can ditch the Vine. I think we can probably ditch Besage You. I think that's what we're going to do. Next turn, we'll try and set it up, and hopefully we don't get Wastelanded. Like, if they're playing the Wheel deck again, I think it's fairly realistic that we untap with our Bazaar intact. Oh, they have Wastelands. Okay. Well, that's a pretty big burn for us, because now we're stuck. We need to draw a land to cast something. Okay, I think we have to play towards manual discard here. I hedged that my opponent was not playing Wastelands, and we got burned pretty good there. Like, I would have kept the Besage had I thought more about that line. Yeah, Death Rate is unfortunate here. Okay, we did find one. Let's see if we can get her in. I wish I had played the Cradle last turn, but I didn't want to expose it. Moving towards manual discard as well, so we could get a Root Wall into play to use the Cradle. I mean, we're in a tenuous spot here. But if this is truly mid-range and our Hex Drinker is left alone, there is a chance that we're going to be able to get it out of range of removal very quickly. A little bit of a misplay on my part there, but it's one of the downsides of Magic Online, or knowing what a player's tendencies move towards. I mean, I have one result on in my account of this player, and it was a week ago, and they were playing the Wheels deck, and you know, intoning that they're on it again today is kind of a foolish thing for most players, because Magic Online is a testing ground, and people have fun, and they play all sorts of different decks. And I think there's a handful of players that just stick to one archetype. They like to win the trophy race and things like that. They play all the hardcore decks that way, and that is not most people. I mean, for me, oh dear, that's terrible. We're going to lose this one for sure. I have a hard time beating Ren and 6 here. Let's see if they go after their Wasteland. No, they know the Hex Drinkers are really bad news for me. Rug is a tough matchup. Ren and 6 is one of the cards that I identified very early on as being problematic for my deck, because it plunks my Piddlywinks, and if I don't have a strong start, I can just die that way. Well, I don't think I can play Hex Drinker here. I think we can move on to the next game here, because Ren and 6 is just going to absolutely destroy me. Oh, I guess I could have got a Vengevine, eh? Yeah, that was a bad play on my part. That's about as sloppy as you'll ever see me play. Don't think I need this. I think it could be worth having Endurances here. Oh, that was awful by me. because I could have cast the Root Wallet, and then I could have cast the Hex Drinker, got the Vengevine back, attacked Ren in 6. They would have blocked with their guy, kept it around. They would have killed my Hex Drinker, but I still would have had a Vine and a pumpable Root Wallet. Yeah, I might have been okay there. A little bit of a premature concession on my part. I don't do that very often. Not the tightest of play, but that's all right. We're going to try and make it up this time with a much better hand. Let's see what we got. Yes, I would like to play first. Yep, I think this is a decent hand. As always, vulnerable to Tabernacle of Pendrell Vale. I normally need a turn to stabilize, unless I can find a Mox. So pretty good discard equity here. I mean, you know, if we don't get tabbied out of the game here, I think we have a good shot. But as always, I am going to make my opponent have it. And if they have it, we're in trouble. If they don't, I feel like we're in a stable position. Yeah. So we've used it once. Now we're focusing elsewhere. We're going to have the Cradle here. I'm not even worried about casting Endurance right at the moment. I'm just more interested in getting damage through and making my opponent do something about it. Yes, I realize it's +1 damage next turn, but if that ends up getting forced, it's like we gave up that damage for no reason. We have Tabernacle Insulation now in Strip Mine. And they're dead next turn, so... Make sure we play our Strip Mine here, and it's going to be hard to stop us from here, but I guess you never know. All right, nice clean win for us there. I don't think Chalice is where I want to be. I do wonder about something like a Surgical. Let's try something like this. Surgical is not a normal line that I do against Rug, but on the draw, I'm going to give it a try here. If I can get their Wasteland away from their Wrens, it's pretty significant for me if they leave my lands around, because I can start casting my stuff. This is a very land-heavy hand, but I think it's fine. Oh, of course you got a Mox. Wow. Wish I had a misstep there. That would have been real nice. I am going to Bazaar here. I just got too much stuff in my hand that's not really working for me. Do I play out the Hex Drinker here? I feel like I do. I feel like I do. Like, we can't fool around here. We got to get going. And if they remove it, it sucks, but they got a misstep. All right. Probably going to Wasteland my Bazaar is my guess, but maybe not. Maybe they'll try and get their run into play here and take over the game that way. I.e., okay. So this is where this deck can get into trouble. It's like we had the Bazaar opener, but we just didn't have anything else going. Yeah, Deathrite, it just makes sense. And, you know, our opponent's going to try and take over the game here. I am expecting something like a Boo, Minsk and Boo to come down next turn. Opponent can easily telegraph what we're doing here, but yep. I'm going to... I believe they have a force of will here, but if they don't, this is pretty good for me. Yeah, they got force. Okay. Yep. I think we go. Just don't think Collector Roof is that good here. Play out the Cradle. And this is one of the downsides. My opponent doesn't need to fetch. They just do their business with their forest. I mean, this card has been very, very impressive in this deck, and I think the benefit far outweighs the risk of this deck, but we're not dead yet. I mean, we're behind, but we're not dead. There's a number of tools in our deck that can take over this game, and if we're casting our spells, we're in decent position. Wasteland does scare me. Ooh, here's Minsk and Boo. Yuck. I just have to hope they don't have anything here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make them... they have to use their death right to get Minsk and Boo going here. So I can't stop both Ren and the death right. So this is what they're doing here. I'm going to let them have it. And I'll have to go over after my own graveyard likely here if they go after that. But I need to stop Minsk from coming down this turn. Like, I don't think... Minsk and Boo is not a card I can beat. So I think this match is probably gone for me, but just a little bit too clunky of a start for me. And this is a very difficult match for me in general. Well, we're going to try and stop this. And we have to go after our own graveyard. That's okay. Resolved. Okay. That's a start. Now we have a path to Ren. We can't kill Ren as we currently stand, but maybe we can turbo churn here. Well, I guess that's gone. I have to now go after Narset instead of Ren. They got Force of Will. Well, first things first, let's kill Narset. They have Force. They're going to bring down Minsk and Boo. All right, I don't think we need to do anything here. I'm going to turbo churn both my Bazaars given the opportunity here. Sucks because my opponent has the death right, but okay, they're just coming right after me. Both my Bazaars. Oh, they don't like my Cradle. Okay. Yeah, being strip locked is pretty tough here. They're just coming after my other cradle with all likelihood. Seems good. Goif, yeah. Not even worried about Minsk and Boo at this point. They're just trying to shut me down. My opponent of note can get my vines here if I find one. Ooh, I wanted that Hex Drinker. Hmm. They got me, guys. We're not going to be able to get out of this. Like, I know what they have in their hand there. It's just way too much for me to be able to overcome. But Rug is a tough matchup, and I feel like it's a winnable one. But we need to be able to, have a game like we did in round one, where we're presenting some level of offense. And one of the downsides of this deck, and I don't talk about it too often, is that you have awkward hands sometimes, and you mulligan to 6. You've got your Bazaar in your hand. You got one Root Wall, a bunch of lands, or Hex Drinkers and Oofs, and you don't really want to discard those. And you're tempoing yourself out without really any advantage of tapping your Bazaar. And these are the type of instances where, I just really didn't have very good hands with my Bazaar, and I was not able to present any offense, and my opponent just did their thing. So, I guess all Magic decks, you don't always come together nicely, but this is kind of the downside of my deck. We were not able to present a very good clock at all. And of course, we did make a misplay. Not a misplay, but we did not play optimally in game one in this match, where we discarded our Boseiju, and in the event that we passed turn and we ended up getting wastelanded on our Bazaar, we didn't have a turn 2 play. We couldn't cast any spells. I did not anticipate this out of my opponent. So that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next round. Okay, guys. How is everybody? It's Andy here, AK Montoli. We're back for round 3 of our Vintage League. This looks like a decent end. We did not win the die roll, unfortunately, but we've got some interaction and mental misstep on turn 1, which is a fairly relevant card. Ancestral. Oh boy, if this works, guys, what a blowout. It did too. Did my opponent keep on the back of a Mock Sapphire? No. Oh, oops, all spells. Yikes. We needed our roof down here right away. Let's see what we can find. Okay, Vigor was pretty good. Vigor was pretty good. Do this. Question is, do I Vigor in the upkeep? I don't think so. I'm going to gamble here. I think this is a dangerous move by us, but as long as they don't have the 3 casting cost 1 that comes into play. I think I'm going to nuke these right now. I guess it doesn't stop it, really. It doesn't stop it. If it's a Belcher, I'm okay. But if they've got the 4 casting cost 1, yeah. Oh, Tinker. Okay, let's see what they get here. I think this is probably a Belcher, right? If it's Citadel, that's a bummer, but... Lotus, okay. Well, I think we have to hit those. But I guess I can do it in the upkeep and see what we get here. Yeah, I can do it in the upkeep. Okay, so we're going to get our vines back. A little bit unfortunate I didn't hit a Mox or a Lotus. I would have loved to. Like, how good would Collector Roof be here? My goodness. I think we're probably still okay. I'm not going to play the Boseiju here. I probably should. I think I'm going to. In the upkeep, I'm going to hit their Lotus and their Sapphire. And hopefully it's enough to disrupt them. They've got one card in hand, 2 cards now. And if we find a Cradle... Okay, so we did find a Wasteland off the top, which was going to be enough to allow us to cast the Collector Roof. Now things get wacky, guys. We definitely want all of these. Let's see Boseiju coming in here. And the truth of the matter is that our game plan is no longer about getting fast Vengevines out of the graveyard and bazaring. It's about disrupting my opponent and finding a way to kill them. I don't even think I'm interested in vines at this point in time. I think I'm just looking to play a disrupt them and get enough of a board position that I can take over the game that way. Like, I think these are just not where I want to be. I've never sideboarded this way before, but I think it's reasonable. Let's try it out. Remember, my deck casts spells. And, you know, having a Force of Vigor in our hand and the ability to cast a turn 2 Collector Roof with maybe a Mindbreak Trap or something is respectable. This one is not good enough. I'm going to mulligan this one. Can't keep that. I guess I have a Once Upon a Time. Maybe I'll try this one out. Because I have the Misstep, it gives me a little bit of minor hope. I've got an Endurance and a Misstep in hand. Collector Roof seems pretty good. Let's try this out, guys. Yeah, like, awesome, right? I don't even have a card that matters on my graveyard in this deck. Dark Ritual. So I'm going to Once Upon a Time here and see what we can find. We did find a Bazaar. I think I'm more interested in the Yavimaya Cradle of Growth at this point because I don't really have any other lands, but I guess I could Bazaar. But I feel like the Cradle's just more important than the Bazaar. We're going to misstep that. Yep. Okay, so love a Mox. Pretty good, right? And if they combo us, we have the Endurance. You know, hopefully they don't have a counterspell, but nice. Love it. I'm going to cast the other Oof right now while I have an opportunity. I guess I can do it no matter what because the Cradle, I have both Cradles in play. Well, my opponent's really peeling their lands here. Don't think this matters. I'm just going to cast it. Look at my lands, guys. How sweet is this? Actually, hard cast Beseiju here, or Endurance. I unfortunately think I have to sit on it, but that's okay. I'd like to get the damage in, but they've just conceded. All right, how was that for a game plan, guys? Opponent bringing in Leyline of the Void. Does nothing. I actually sided out my Vengevines. I still have to think on that, whether that was correct or not. But when you're playing against this deck, it's just you need to survive their one onslaught. And when you can do that, you can rebuild. And my deck has the capability of hard casting its spells with great reliance. And 3 Yavimaya Cradle Growth is an integral part of that. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Feel free to leave any comments. We're going to see you for round 4. Hey everybody, Andy here, aka Montilin. We're back for round 3 of our Vintage League with CradleVine. Our opponent is actually a HoloVine player, and I haven't seen HoloVine in quite some time. There was maybe a resurgence of it, 6 to 9 months ago, and for those of you who follow me know that that is a deck that's very close to my heart. I've won a significant amount with it, and feel like I had my fingertips with all over with the creation of the deck, or at least in its modern form. Hancho Bai was the player that actually made the deck. But that said, I am excited for this match. Fire Truck just made a nice comment. They're enjoying some of my YouTube content, and a very nice thing to say, and I hope you are as well. So we won the die roll. I expect this to be a difficult match for us. Powder this. We definitely are going to mulligan this one. Got a strip mine, and I have a mental misstep. Is that good enough? I don't think so. I think we have to powder this one. I'm not happy about it, but I think I just want the strip effect. Okay, this has the tools we're looking for. We've got a fast hand, and we've got some disruption and wasteland. That's pretty nice. Now, I'm presuming my opponent's on this, on HoloVine. I don't know that for a fact, but regardless, I think this is a really good start. I'm going to get rid of both of my root wallas, green root wallas here, because we have the ability to pump them. There is some merit to holding for Force of Vigor, but I think we want to get our engine going here. I think the best case scenario is our opponent wastelands us this turn. That would be fantastic if they did that. HoloVine has the late game against us if they're allowed to have their Bazaar because of all their squee effects. So it is hard to disrupt them from keeping the Bazaar in play with that deck because the current iteration has 4 Noxious Revivals in it. But okay, this is not what it is then. That's great for me. I think I'm going to spin here. Like, I'm just kind of in on getting my stuff going here. Hopefully they're not playing combo, but if they are, it is what it is. I can deal them. I think as much as I want to cast the Hex Drinker here, I really feel like we need to just get going. Like, make my opponent answer me here. And I'm expecting a bolt or whatever be it here, but if they don't have it, it's great for us. And, they need to do something here. Now, we could die from here for sure if this is something like Doomsday. Okay, time walk. All right. Let us see. Do we survive? I do feel pretty nervous seeing 2 underground seas there. Is this just a Doomsday? A hard cast Doomsday? Uh-oh. Well, we could die here very easily with that line. Like, they've got 3 mana in play. Lots of ways to die to Doomsday in this situation. I'm going to have 6. I don't think there's any reason to pretend I have anything here. Yeah, all right. It's Doomsday. Another polarizing match for us. Can't say I'm feeling good about this, but the fact my opponent hasn't conceded likely means that they have it. Like, they just cantrip into Gush, and kill me. I liked my line of attacking with the Root Wallas a lot more in this scenario. Street Wraith will be shut off as a cantrip for my opponent after they Doomsday here. So put them down to 2 life. But I can only presume we're dead here. With 4 cards left in their hand, but let's see. I don't know how confident my opponent is at playing this deck. It's very thin margin of error. It's a potent combo. But if they're thinking Street Race or whatever in their hand to put it in their hand, it's not going to work. So they just have Brainstorm, and that means it's an easy kill for them from here. As long as they stack their library, of course, correctly. Should just be a Gush would be my guess. Okay, Lotus. Ancestral works too. Yep. Yep. And an easy kill. Let's make sure that they don't have anything exceptional here that we need to look at. Most Doomsday are just very stock. Okay, so obviously Doomsday is a very difficult match for us, but we do have some tools here to fight Doomsday. And I think Surgicals, Endurance, and Mindbreak Traps are where we need to be in this matchup. I think Force of Vigor is a brick. I also think Hex Drinker is not likely where we need to be here. And I think we can cut a Once Upon a Time on the play. In truth, we probably could cut a Boseiju as well. Maybe that's just better to do this on the play. So let's take this in and give it a try. So most players that are playing Doomsday side in Leyline and Void against us. And Leyline and Void is not a great card against what we're trying to do. The scariest card that they have on the sideboard is most certainly Tabernacle of Pendrell Vale. Normally they only have 1. So it's not a card that I'm actively going to play around, but if they do get us with it, we're very likely to lose. If they don't, then we have a very reasonable chance of winning. Obviously, this is a difficult matchup for us because of the limited interaction we have, but on the play, we're definitely better off than we are on the draw. This is not a keep. I'm going to have to mulligan that one. This one looks great. We're going to keep this one. What do we want to put back? A little bit tough because I like all my lands here. The problem if I keep the Cradle is that if I lose everything, I'm not going to be able to cast stuff. I think I just need the Yavimaya. Keeping the Cradle would be a greedy line. They have kept their 7. I think we just have to try and beat them down as fast as we can here and hope that Mindbreak Trap off. Ooh, that's too bad. I would have loved that. That would have been a very serious clock for them to manage 8 damage right off turn 1, but let's hope we can get through a Tabernacle here. If we don't, we still have the Bazaar to try and replenish ourselves, but getting in some early chip damage here is a good start to our game plan. We've got a Strip Mine, we've got a Vengevine, we've got a Mind Break Trap here to try and hurt our opponent. Sleight of hand, geez, okay. They got a Mox. Come on. Well, we definitely can dump a couple vines here. We've just got a lot of discard equity here that we don't normally have. Ooh, Chalice is decent. Get into combat here first. My question is how much do I want to play around Tabernacle? I think I'm going to be a little bit greedy here. Wonder if they have days. It's a little bit more of a blowout if they do. I think I'm just going to strip them here. And yes, it sucks if they have the Tabernacle here. It is a greedy line. But because we have the Bazaar here, and they don't typically have a way of turning it off, and we have triple Vine in the yard if we lose it, like, it's not the worst. My Break Trap is not looking good with Chalice in play. That is not a Tabernacle. And we can just kill them right here because we have a Yavimaya. Okay, that does work. Hopefully they well, I don't think they can Consultation here because they played their land already. This does get a blocker up. Should just block my Vine, I would think. Yeah. Let's see what happens here. Puts them to 4. I mean, it's not going to be easy for them with the Chalice in play here. They're going to need some specific... Oh, you know what I could have done is taken their Oracle out of their deck. I didn't think of that. I still have the time option to do it. Okay, they're going to go for it. Wonder if they'll have a counter spell here. I don't even necessarily have to be proactive like this, but I don't think they can win with a Doomsday Pile if I take their Oracles away. And I have Mind Break Trap on the stack here if they force, so it's, you know, no guarantees. But, okay, they're gushing. I could take this away. I don't feel like they have counter magic if they're doing this. All right, nice clean win for us there. We were able to apply some early pressure, and we had some disruption in the Chalice, Strip Mine, Surgical, and Mind Break Trap to be able to put my opponent on their heels enough to get a victory there. Now, of course, it's going to get a lot more difficult in the sideboard post-game. So I don't think there's much I need to do here. I think I like absolutely everything that we have in our deck. This hand, I think, is a little suspect from the combo side of things, but I think that because we have a Bazaar, we're going to be able to shape our hand up a little bit better. And that is a mulligan for my opponent, essentially. So we're going to have a couple things to look at here. If we draw a green card, there is some merit to playing Yavimaya Cradle of Growth out. Okay. On top, bottom, okay. My opponent could have combo as soon as here, but I think I have to Bazaar and try and find some help here. Yeah, this is pretty good. That was a really good spin for us. I think I can ditch a Cradle here. Now this gives us endurance and surgical extraction to be able to combat my opponent on the stack. And next turn we can try and get a Collector Roof into play, which is fantastic. And yeah, we're vulnerable to Tabernacle here for sure. But it's not the end-all be-all if we do get Tabernacled here. And it's nice that we have two pieces of interaction. Okay, Doomsday resolves. Can they do it here? That's the question. If they pass turn back to me, what can we do? I can't kill them unless Vengemind doesn't actually do anything. I guess if I found a Mox, if I spun, I want to hit a Mox and a Vine, I could do it, but that's just not where I need to be. Opponent's going to be at 9 life. I can put them to 3 as I currently stand. All right, here's the time of trial. They are passing turn. I think I need to spin because I'd love to be able to cast Collector Roof here and have Endurance up. Okay, we did hit a green card, which is really nice. I mean, there's no guarantees here. Even if my stuff all does resolve, like they could get if they have absolutely no disruption, I think they're going to have a hard time winning. But if they do, it's a bit of a different story. Force of Will shut off Straight Wreath from here. This has turned off the Black Lotus kill. We are vulnerable to Daze now moving forward. You know what I think I do? Do I Surgical in the upkeep? I actually should have Surgical when I had mana floating. It's too late. Let's see what they got. That was a mistake on my part. And as much as I say there's a fine line for my opponent to make mistakes, it's the same thing when you're on the other end of the battle against Doomsday. There's a very thin margin of error. So this could come back to bite me, unfortunately. Oh, interesting. Okay, their hand is Flusterstorm, so that's great for me. Oh, Tabby. Tabby is not a good line for them. So let's take a picture of that. I am going to fail to take the Doomsday. Right, let's make sure the surgical shuffles it. It doesn't, so we'll just leave that there. I don't want it gone. So unfortunately, our gambit failed in that our opponent was able to draw the Ancestral Recall on the random shuffle. And that is probably putting us in a losing position here. But if they do this with the Oracle, I don't think they had a full... I believe we are going to be able to put the 2 cards on the bottom, unless this is the Oracle on the bottom. Okay. Even if they were able to get the Oracle there, they had the mana to cast it. What their problem is that I know they didn't have a force of will to be able to interact with our endurance. We were going to put the 2 cards on the bottom, and we were just going to swing and kill them. So we did have them either way. But I do think the correct line for that surgical was to do it when I still had a mana floating during my turn to put the Doomsday, to shuffle their library again. It just turned out that they drew the 1 card that they needed out of the 5. And it's kind of funny statistically because when I use my surgical in that way, it's happened to me on 2 other occasions where it's been a 1 in 5 chance for them to draw the card, and they draw it. It's just an interesting observation. That said, a very nice win for us against Combo and Doomsday in a deck that I'm actively worried about. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please hit the like, subscribe button. We'll see you next round. Hey everybody, here we are for round 5 our Vintage League. We're playing CradleVine. We've run into Bergamo. Bergamo's typically a combo player. This is a prime example of some of the awkwardness that this particular deck, CradleVine has, and that, the discard card equity just isn't here. You don't really want to discard any of these cards. So, no further ado, let's get going. What are we looking for? I think we just want a hollow 1 here, right? The idea is my opponent's going to wasteland me next turn. And let's find some more Root Wallas here. Ooh, that was nice, wasn't it? Hopefully my opponent doesn't have a crop rotation into a Tabernacle or anything like that. Like, you don't see Windswept Heath too often in Vintage. It's not a common card. So they definitely don't have that because they wouldn't be misstepping a Root Walla here with all likelihood. But maybe they think they're saving 3 damage by doing it, which is not unreasonable given that CradleVine is a predominant deck in the metagame right now. Good chunk of damage there. We have no Hogax in our deck to get with that Caracas. Okay, we're playing mono white here. Stoneforge, that's a nice one. Yeah, Cauldron Complete is very much a problem for our deck. We're going to have to go wide on that guy. Let's see what we can find here. So close, eh? I don't really think I want Collector Roofs here. This doesn't seem like the matchup for it. Would love to get this other Vengevine going here this turn. Well, we're not going to get the Vengevine going. I don't think it's worth playing the second Bazaar. I don't think that's my game plan here. I think I'm going to wasteland their land here and hope they don't have another one. And if they do, I mean, we just got to plow in. And next turn we'll try and set up. Yeah. Try and set up the extra vine. Yeah, just where we're at here. Let's try and disrupt. Let's make them have it. And if they do, that means that we're going to leave our Bazaar alone. And I think there's a pretty high chance that we're going to be able to get our stuff going here. Yep, so they're on Cauldron. And they can't block and bring Cauldron. They get to bring Cauldron. So if we get this vine going, I think we win. And it looks like we have a pretty good chance of doing that here. As a matter of fact, I don't even really need to discard, to be honest. I just play the... Yeah, the question is, do I find another vine here? Right, I have to discard... Like, I need to keep almost all of these, so I'd have to discard the Bazaar. I don't think it's worth it. Because for whatever reason, if something goes wrong here, I can just start double Bazaaring. Now, I think this should be good enough to get my opponent, but let's see. Cauldron does not gain life. No. Honestly, I don't think feel like Force of Vigor is very good here. Like, it doesn't stop Cauldron. Cauldron is just a problem. We're going to have to go wide on Cauldron. And unlike other Bazaar decks of the past, or Vine decks at least, this deck has a way of actually beating Cauldron in Hexdrinker. Like, if we get stuck under a needle, something like that, we still have Boseiju to fall back on. And, I mean, the reality is that Cauldron's a pretty hard card for us to beat. I think I'm going to side in my snow-covered forest here, and I'm going to take out Chalice of the Void on the draw. Reason is that there's a chance that they could be playing Path to Exiles. Let's try this out. I could be wrong. I obviously don't know the composition of their deck here, as Stoneforge is not a card I've really seen in our metagame in quite some time. Yeah, I mean, not gonna. It's not. You can't keep these, right? Like, yeah, if you hit a Bazaar, you feel like a champ, but you just die if you don't. Just a very good mulligan here, and I think this is an easy Boseiju to put away. Now, this hand actually becomes really bad. Something to think about there is if they shut off my... Okay. So, this is a situation where they got me with the one of Vengevine in hand, but this deck casts them consistently. Cavern, okay. Interesting. They put Archon. Yeah, Archon's a nice card. what's the likelihood they have Tabernacle here? Let's find a Cradle here. Oh, that was really nice. Obviously not happy to pitch the Vine because I'm going to be able to cast it next turn, but my focus is more getting the Hex Drinker into play and getting it into ultimate, or getting it out of range of removal very quickly, and we can certainly do that next turn, especially with the Lotus if we don't need to use it. The Lotus is Tabernacle Insulation. It should resolve. I hope the play pattern that my opponent is looking at here is that they would like to wasteland my Bazaar and pass the turn. That is what I'm hoping they're going to do. A very common play pattern. And it's like, I've got a ley line, I've got a wasteland, I'm going to disrupt them. And that's just like a time walk for me, if that's the case. So, and Lotus, very, very nice here. I'm not going to use it to cast the Hex Drinker here. That would be nice, but it would be frivolous given that we can pay for Tabernacle completely for a turn. Yeah, and that worked out really nicely for us. They actually did have it. And so we're just going to pay for our stuff here. So I could play the Cradle and negate this, but I feel like my best way to actually win this here is to play the Strip Mine, ensure that this does not survive the following turn. I just think that's the best way to go about things here. We have the Cradle, and if they have the Wasteland into the Tabernacle, it's just not as good for me. And yes, if they play a Stoneforge, it sucks, but we've given up a little bit of tempo there. But we still have these Hex Drinkers here. Okay, so they've got Archon, which sucks, because that puts my Cradle into play tapped. Yep, and I can't really get damage in, so that is unfortunate on our part. But, I mean, look, guys, you can't have every line. It doesn't work that way. Okay, there's more Cradle Insulation. So we've given up quite a bit of tempo here trying to do this. I can't really get through here other than my hollow one, but at least that's something. And Cradle is going to pressure my opponent in a significant way next turn. Or that's the hope anyways. But Palace Jailer would be bad here. Mirror and Crusader. Okay. Double Strike is strong. Can't really get through here. So I'll sit back on defense for a turn. The Mirror Crusader is really nice. Oh! Yeah, like I don't want to play my other Cradle here, to sacrifice my Cradle, because it comes into play tapped. If I could use it, I think that would be a different story. So if they have no removal here, this is decent for us. No attack. Okay, good. And this is going to be pretty nice if I can get it out of range. It is out of range. All right, well. Here we go. Progenitus is going to be really tough here. Yep. They can get a good swath of damage through here. Like they can blow up my hollow one and start getting in. I cannot block the Mirror Crusader, but it's a race I am likely to win unless they can do something about my Hex Drinker. I'm probably going to spin my Bazaar regardless next turn. I'm looking for another land that is not a Gaia's Cradle to come into play because I need to protect myself from another Tabernacle here. Like if I get Wasteland and Tab, somehow I could lose. Yeah, another Archon. Okay, my opponent's getting some damage through here if they're inclined. I'm so glad they didn't attack with their Mirror Crusader there. I mean, I would have snap blocked it. First thing first, let's get this guy saying. What if I attack with everybody here? They can just blow a lot of my stuff up anyways. I'm looking half for a hollow one here, you know, a wasteland, a cradle of growth. Hollow one would be nice. Basic is not great, but we did find a couple lands, which is good. All right, let's get in. That is a big boy. Doesn't come into play tapped, which is nice. We're going to play this, and we're going to pump it up out of range again. Next turn we can get in for 12 unblockable if we choose. So my opponent is going to get a really good swath of damage in on me this turn, with all likelihood. This would be a nice way to win a match here with a double mini Progenitus on the table. Very strong against these mid-range decks. Yep, Stoneforge Mystic. I think it's a little late to the party, but I guess they can get something on the Mirror Crusader here. They're going to have trouble equipping it. Culture Complete, yeah. It's just not enough. Yep. So it just doesn't matter. Let's just get that guy in front of it. Trades pretty easily here. Yeah, nothing I can do about the rest of it. Yep. And here we go, guys. I shouldn't be doing this, but it's probably not nice to my opponent to do something like this. But the reality is that I think that the cool factor of having two Progenitus here is pretty solid. Let's get in. Okay, there you have it, guys. Nice clean 4-1. Once again, I felt like the deck performed very well. We lost to Rug, and Rug is a difficult matchup for us. I'm not sure what to do to shore this up. I think earlier in my testing, if you saw some of my videos, I was running Pithing Needle, and Pithing Needle to hit things like Ren and Six, Oko, Minsk and Boo. Hitting Deathrite Shamans are really big because their mana base is greedy. This is kind of like the Yuta Takahashi, like 4-color planeswalker deck, and just plain Rug. I do struggle against the planeswalkers, but I've found that Grafdigger's Cage, which has taken its place, to be a better card because the most popular decks right now are the Jeskai Breach decks. And Cage just hits so many different things, right? It shuts off Breach, it shuts off Dread Horde, it shuts off Bolas' Citadel, it shuts off Tinker, and of course, it's things like Oath of Druids and Dredge and all these sorts of things. So it is hitting a lot of different things. And the neat thing about it is people don't see it coming out of a Bazaar deck. And most people are siding out their removal, like Force of Eggers and things like that, against me. So I have won some pretty crazy games with Grafdigger's Cage, actually. I beat Oath the other day where it was just I was having a really good game and they slammed the Oath and it was enough to beat me. And yeah, I top decked Cage and they weren't able to counter it, and therefore I was able to easily kill them the following turn. And the aforementioned deck that has been really shaking up Vintage right now, the Luris Jeskai Breach deck, mulled the 4 in a Vintage Challenge last weekend, down a game, and cast a turn 1 Cage, and they just couldn't beat it. They didn't have any removal for it, and it was an easy win from there, so as we can cast our spells. But anyways, guys, I don't want to talk too much about the past. Please go back and watch those videos if you're inclined. I do hope you enjoyed this. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and we're going to see you next.